You're listening to Medina Mondays with your host, Henry J. Medina.
Can you feel it, everybody? Can you feel it right now? It's episode 2 of the Medina Mondays podcast with your boy Henry J. Medina. Thank you again for that intro, Matt. And if you guys think we can't change the format in just a second episode, you're wrong. We're going to be pushing 2 hours, doubling our time from last week. I got NFL, got some big news there. We have MLB, Angels, Dodgers preview for the season. Of course, March Madness. I got NBA, and I'm going to even squeeze in some NHL because we had a great game here in Anaheim last night. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for all the support last week. Auntie, I hear you. I know you want this podcast out sooner rather than later. This is what works for my schedule, posting it so late. I apologize. Happy birthday to my mama who took a Medina Monday off today. Did not go to work today. I golfed today. So we practice what we preach here at Medina Studios in Anaheim. Studio A. Alrighty then. So, first segment. I hate Mondays because, folks, people, internet listeners, you're not helping me out here. You have to tweet the at Medina Mondays Twitter page, like our Facebook page, post a comment. Let me know what you hate about Mondays, and we will feature you on the show. So, with that in mind, we will go to the mailbag all the way from Toledo, Ohio. Has to be a person from Toledo, Ohio. A certain Delbert Duckins has a question here for Henry J. Did a little bit of research on this question. Make sure I get a full answer. He was wondering, would the Toledo Rockets be favored for next year's MAC football title? Mr. Duckins, that is a great question. And I think I was a little more hopeful earlier in the week, and I looked into it a little more. I think it's going to be pretty tough to repeat as MAC football title champions. Your Toledo Rockets got crushed in the Dollar General Bowl. They took a coffee break, had a donut. That's zero zilch, nada points. Next year, they'll be losing starting senior quarterback Logan Woodside, who might be replaced by Mitchell Gadogny. Excuse me if I mispronounced that name. Who only completed one pass last year. Not to mention senior running back Terry Swanson and their starting left tackle. On the bright side, the Rockets' leading wide receiver, Deontay Johnson, is only a true sophomore. So, after his second season, Joseph Candle, he really has invigorated the Toledo Rockets program. But it's definitely going to be tough in his third year to try and repeat as MAC champions. They definitely blew out a lot of teams last year. So we'll see. Thank you for your question. Appreciate it. I hope you shout me on Twitter if you disagree with that. Oh, also on my Twitter, I put a poll out asking you where Ndamukong Suh was going to land. And big news about that just a second. I'm sure a lot of you heard already. The poll results were in. 73% of you Rams fans thought Suh would end up as an LA Ram. 23% of, Raiders fans believed he was going to land with the Raiders. A report came out just a few days after I posted this poll, maybe might have been the same day, that he was not interested in going to Oakland or, the soon Las Vegas Raiders. And not a single vote went to either the Saints or Titans. And lo and behold, Ndamukong Suh is going to be a Los Angeles Ram for at least 1 year. Breaking news today, Monday, the 26th of March. Ndamukong Suh signed a 1-year contract to play with the Los Angeles Rams. And there was a lot of speculation where he was going to land. I just mentioned my poll. Wanted to see what you out there thought about where Mr. Suh was going to land. Like I said, he was not impressed with the Raiders after the visit. And I think you Rams fans out there, you guessed it right, or you're just really hopeful fans, like I was. You hoped he would join a really talented roster, a defensive roster already blessed with the defensive MVP. Stacked at corner, Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, Sam Shields coming off some injury. Hopefully he'll have a very productive season. But the Saints, also a Super Bowl contender away, one play away from going to the NFC Championships until Stephon Diggs broke all of New Orleans' heart. They probably run the best scheme out of the teams that were in the hunt. They run the 4-3 scheme. The Rams run a 3-4, brought to you by Wade Phillips. And the other team in the hunt we mentioned was the Titans, who had the most money available with $44 million. And defensive line coach Terrell Williams is a familiar face with Sue, who I believe coached in Miami. And they also have a young, talented defense, just like the Rams do. But Mike Vrabel will be taking over the head coaching job in Tennessee. It's his first coaching job ever. Coached linebackers and defensive coordinator at Houston. Obviously came from the New England Patriots system, 3-4 system before that. And yeah. So congratulations, Rams fans. And Ndamukong Suh has just signed a 1-year, $14 million deal if you missed that earlier in the program. Obviously, Suh, bad boy of the NFL, decided, hey, I want to come win a championship. I'm going to go to a team with the defensive MVP of the league, the head coach of the year, the reigning offensive MVP, Todd Gurley, and try to win a championship. Do something similar to what Darrelle Revis did a few years back with the New England Patriots. And yeah, I think that makes sense for him. Suh has gone to Detroit and Miami, has not had a lot of winning success. And I think it makes sense if you want to go to a team that has Super Bowl possibilities in mind. Drew Brees is a lot older compared to Jared Goff. The future is much more bright for the Rams, because once Drew Brees leaves the Saints, they're going to be out of luck and be drafting a quarterback. A lot of people think they're going to take Baker Mayfield. I don't know if I buy the hype. I think Baker Mayfield might drop to the third round. I think he's a lot more accurate than Johnny Manziel was. He's not obviously probably the same runner as Johnny Manziel. He's not like a Michael Vick type. He's or a Russell Wilson type maybe. But he can extend some plays. But I think there's a lot of question marks surrounding his character, surrounding his actions on and off the field. Definitely not as big as maybe Johnny Manziel's question marks were, but something to consider. What's really interesting to me is that Josh Rosen has some of those similar character question marks, as well, but I don't think they get talked about as much as Baker Mayfield's, because it's more of a personality, where it's not really his actions that are costing his team, taking himself out of games. It's kind of how GMs and ownership is kind of concerned how Josh Rosen will be, how he'll be received in the locker room. And so, yeah, and then Sam Darnold just had getting a little off topic here, but Sam Darnold just had a great pro day. How much that means in the grand scheme of things, who knows? Jamarcus Russell had the greatest pro day of all time. And look where he is. No one has any idea where Jamarcus Russell is right now at this moment. And Peyton Manning had one of the worst. And if that just shows you how tricky the draft process is, then I don't know what will. Anyways, moving on, some really cool news. Last Monday, the 21st, an article was released by undefeated.com, written by Rhiannon Walker, talking about Kenny Washington, the first African-American to break the NFL's color barrier back in the 30s. Let's see, a little excerpt from that column, or that article, excuse me. There was no rule that banished black players from the NFL during the 1930s and 40s. Team owners conveniently just didn't sign any for 13 years. The Cleveland Rams, who were relocating to Los Angeles, changed that. The Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, in which the team wanted to play, was publicly owned, meaning it was funded by white and black taxpayer dollars, and there was an expectation that the team would be integrated. On March 21st, 1946, the Rams general manager Charlie Chile Walsh signed former UCLA standout Kenny Washington. The Rams purchased the 27-year-old's contract from the Hollywood Bears and reportedly signed the halfback to a 5-figure salary, the Los Angeles Sentinel reported. Walsh would tell the Los Angeles Times that the financial arrangements were entirely satisfactory to Washington, in keeping with the ex-UCLA player's gridiron reputation. So, happy anniversary to Kenny Washington. It's been 72 years since the Rams signed him and started the way to integrate the Rams roster to include both black and white players. So something that was really cool that happened last week on Wednesday. Sorry, I had to check my calendar to make sure, double check the day of the week that happened. So something really cool news there. And in other NFL news, the catch rule. It's back in the headlines. It's making the Washington Post, the New York Times, SI.com or SportsIllustrated.com, CBS Sports, and it's all over the place right now. New catch rules were leaked. According to Kevin Petra of NFL.com, NFL Senior Vice President of Officiating Al Riveron announced Wednesday the competition committee will recommend simplifying the language of the catch rule. The proposed changes will be presented next week at the annual league meeting. Here they are. The proposed rules defining a catch are. And listen, if you don't know what a catch already is, just have a 5-year-old tell you. Anyways, number 1, control of the ball. Number 2, 2 feet down or another body part. Number 3, a football move such as a third step, reaching, extending for the line to gain, or the ability to perform such an act. Wait for the crickets. Yeah, so is this new catch rule going to work? A lot of people think it's just as confusing, maybe cleaned up a little bit compared to the catch rules of the past. But personally, I don't think this solves the NFL's catch rule problem. First off, we have the phrase "a football move." It's back. Highlighting it right now on my paper. It's back. A football move such as a third step, reaching, extending for the line to gain, or the ability to perform such an act. That last line right there, the ability to perform such an act, that is so open-ended, so hard to determine. This kind of reminds me of the catch rule regarding the sideline, maybe, I don't know, 10 almost 10 years ago, when the NFL tried to reward athletic receivers who would have caught the ball if they were not pushed out of bounds. I don't know how you make that judgment call. That's not even football. If you're knocked out of bounds in a contact sport, then you were knocked out of bounds. I think the defender made a great play, and thankfully they changed that rule. But excuse me. So I think this opens up a similar can of worms, where it says the ability to perform such an act. So you just have to show you had the ability to perform such an act. Again, those rules were: you have to control the ball. Makes sense. I think a 5-year-old will tell you that one. You have to have 2 feet down or another body part. I think the high schooler could tell you that one. And a football move such as a third step, not too hard, nothing crazy about that one. B, reaching / extending for the line to gain, or C, the ability to perform such an act. That last part, it's killing me. It is killing me. I think you need some really expensive LA Hollywood lawyers to figure that one out. So let me know on Twitter at TD Gauchos, or hit the show up at Medina Mondays. Do you think this will solve the NFL catch rule problem? Or send us an email at medinamondays@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Join the conversation. Join the discussion. Don't be afraid. Mr. Duckins had his question answered out of Toledo, Ohio. Wow, shout out to Toledo, Ohio. Arter reaching you out there. Thanks for the support. A little more on this catch rule. Straight out of the Washington Post by Mark Mask, quoting Troy Vincent, who is the NFL's Executive Vice President of Football Operations. We worked backward, said Troy Vincent, the NFL's Executive Vice President of Football Operations. We looked at plays and said, do we want that to be a catch? And then we applied that to the rule. So basically, if you read some other articles, basically they looked at the Calvin Johnson catch. They looked at the Dez Bryant catch against Green Bay in the playoffs. They looked at the Jesse James catch, Pittsburgh Steelers. And they said, how do we make these catches? These are obviously catches. How do we change the language so that These will be called catches. The fans will be happy. I think the players will be happy. How do we do this? And so they sat in a room, and it looks like they're trying to simplify the catch to these 4 things. Again, one last time. Control the ball. You have to have 2 feet down or another body part. And you have to make a football move, such as a third step or reaching/extending for the line to gain. Or the other part of that is the ability to perform such an act. So this is how the NFL is trying to fix that problem. It's just a whole new can of worms. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, anyway, right now, as we speak, well, not as we speak, but this week, around the NFL, what is going on? This week until the 28th is the annual league meeting in Orlando, Florida, where these rules and other business-like things are happening between NFL ownership, about rules, about off-the-field things. So stay tuned. Maybe there'll be some more updates about this catch rule. Might be some updates about head-to-head contact. Some people think there's going to be a new rule regarding targeting, or similar to the NCAA. I'm not a big fan of the targeting rule. I think it can change the outcome of a game too much, and I think in a game that happens so fast, such as football, it's a contact sport. I think head-to-head contact, it's bound to happen. I don't have a solution to prevent it. I think it's bound to happen. And I get that the NFL wants to avoid, like, the bounty gate with the Saints. They don't want, people literally targeting, as the rule states, or as the rules named after, targeting quarterbacks, receivers, star players, playmakers, their heads, their knees, which actually, no, they are allowed to target the knees, or they're not supposed to. I think the tackle box is supposed to be above the knees, below the shoulders, or at the shoulders, and that was supposed to decrease injuries, make the game a little safer, make the game more accessible to people to watch. But anyways, I am totally rambling on. Let's move on to our next segment. Really excited about this one. It's a new segment we have on the show. It's The Play with Henry J. Where's the music at? Drop the music. Thank you. There it is. The Play with Henry J is brought to you by the company that signs my checks when I'm away from the mic. That company is Dick's Sporting Goods, where every season is sports season. I'm going to hype this play up. Last night was Ducks Edmonton hockey in Edmonton. Big for the Western Conference NHL playoff race. Currently, the Ducks, the Avalanche, Blues, and the Kings are all within 2 points of each other. So this was a big win for Anaheim, who got the win last night on this play, The Play with Henry J.
Raquel makes a move at the blue line, cuts to the middle, loses the puck, fired, score! Hampus Lindholm! Raquel tried to make a move to the middle, it rolled off his stick right to Lindholm, who beats Talbot, and the Ducks prevail in overtime in Edmonton.
What a comeback tonight for Anaheim. Flat for 2 periods. Didn't look like they were going to get anything going on, and then the third period started, and they just dominated this game.
Another defenseman comes up with...
If you grew up a Ducks fan like I did, there's nothing better than that. Overtime victory. I really like the new 3-on-3, the new NHL overtime rules. 3-on-3 opens up for a lot of different styles of play, opens up the ice a little more, lets the skaters skate. That was a great goal by Hampus Lindholm, bringing home the victory for the Ducks, keeping them third place in the Pacific, out of the wild card. And things are looking good. Only 6 games left for the Ducks. Some other teams, the Avalanche, the Blues, and the Kings, like I mentioned, they all have 5 or 6 games left as well. The Kings right now are sitting in the 9th, and that is not good. That is not less than 8. So the Kings right now are sitting just 1 point shy. No, they're tied with the Blues, but they do not own the tiebreaker right now. So they are sitting outside of the playoff picture. So good luck to the Kings. I know a lot of you listening probably are Kings fans, grew up Kings fans, whatnot. And hey Henry J, you're a SoCal kid, grew up on the West Coast, went to Santa Barbara. What the heck do you know about hockey, man? Well, you know what? I'll tell you. I think I know a little more hockey than you want to give me credit for. Grew up a Paul Kariya, Teemu Selanne fan. Giving guys double trouble. So I know a little bit about my Ducks hockey growing up in Anaheim. Really want those old school uniforms with the Wild Wing Duck Jason mask. Those were the best. Not a big fan of the orange and black uniforms. So if you're listening, Anaheim Ducks ownership, your fans, at least this fan right here, wants the old unis back from the, dare do I say it, the Mickey Mouse days. Never thought I would say I want something back from the Mickey Mouse days, but here you go. Alrighty, that again was The Play with Henry J, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods, where every season is sports season. This Friday night, the Kings will be playing down the street at the Honda Center against the Ducks, which, of course, like we mentioned, will be a huge matchup for playoff implications in the West. The Kings, like I said, are tied with the Blues for one of the wild card spots in the West. The Ducks sit in third place in the Pacific Division as it stands right now. So, yeah, that is your hockey update brought to you by Henry J. Medina. Sneaking that in between some other mainstream sports. Hockey gets a bad rap. I really love hockey. I wish I had way more time to watch more hockey. I love watching the Ducks Kings go at it. Last time I went to a Kings game last year with one of my buddies. 2 years ago, I think. At the Honda Center, Ducks Kings. Really cool atmosphere. A lot of Kings fans showed up to that one, obviously. I think they but they showed up. They showed up, drowned out a lot of the Ducks fans. So come on, Ducks fans, show up, man. Show up, be a little crazy. Same thing, I forgot to mention this play last night, I didn't get to watch the whole game, but might have seen my social media posts. I was tailgating, getting ready for the Dodgers-Angels exhibition game last night at the Big A. Left the game at 8 in the 8th inning. Not afraid to admit that. I knew the Dodgers had it. Turn on the radio to listen to the last Ducks game. I know they were making a way, and lo and behold, it was overtime. And just as I turn on the radio, I get that great, sweet play-by-play commentary of that final goal. Put the Ducks ahead in overtime. Great comeback. Connor McDavid, the points leader in the NHL, was tearing the Ducks up, and the mighty, mighty Ducks of Anaheim came back and won it. It was a great way to turn on the radio after a baseball game and get hyped for some hockey. So, all right, that's enough hockey for today. Maybe next week, get you some updates on that Ducks-Kings game. Like I said, that's this Friday. Big playoff implications. Okay, Angels-Dodgers fans, it is time for you guys. Time to talk about that Angels-Dodgers games, which was really exciting, really good time with the boys, with the family. Got to see Mike Trout run around the field. Got to see Yasiel Puig hit a bomb. Mike Trout hit a bomb as well, of course. Chris Taylor had one to left field. New acquisition, Angels, newly converted third baseman, former shortstop, Zach Cozart, hit a yaya to left field, as my brother would call it. So that was really cool to see all those guys in action since last season. Very refreshing to catch a baseball with my dad. Shout out to you, Dad. Shout out to you, Pops. Love watching baseball with my pop. So yeah, let's get into it. You guys don't want to know why I hate Mondays? Obviously, I get the day off. I take the day off. I practice what I preach. I try and extend the weekend because otherwise Mondays suck. But I hate Mondays because Justin Turner's wrist is still broken. Leading hitter for the Dodgers. You wake up one day, read an article, get a news flash. Justin Turner's wrist is broken. Questions need to be answered. Justin Turner's wrist has been broken off a wild pitch. He was hit by a pitch in a spring training game, and it's broken. Sad news. I can barely speak right now. Number 3 here for the Dodgers, Justin Turner, I repeat, has a broken wrist. He will be out for a few weeks. The good news is he will not need surgery. It will not be month-long exit away from the game. It will only be a few weeks. Haven't seen any more updates on exact or a more specific timetable, but I'm guessing he will be only out for the beginning of April, or the end of March for April, and probably the maybe mid-May. Expect a JT Justin Turner return. So some bad news for you Dodger fans. Some light at the end of the tunnel about that. And, I think that even with Justin Turner out of the lineup, this Dodgers lineup is going to be stacked. You have, off the top of my head, Chris Taylor to lead off, who, if you think about it, never would have had the season he had if Andrew Toles didn't tear his ACL. But Andrew Toles is trying to make a comeback. So, again, that lineup will be Chris Taylor. Should be Corey Seager batting next. Let's be fun. We should, I think I will probably post some type of poll, ask you guys on Twitter. Let's try and predict the Dodgers and Angels opening day lineups. So it's going to be Chris Taylor, Corey Seager. The game yesterday, I think it was Yasiel Puig, the wild horse. After that, I think it was Matt Kemp. Let's talk about Matt Kemp for a little bit. Matt Kemp making his return back to the Dodgers. Dodgers needed some more bats. The outfield wasn't as deep as we thought it was going to be. The Dodgers needed some money, or they needed to get under the luxury tax. So they made a trade this offseason. You might have heard. Got rid of Adrian Gonzalez. Got rid of Charlie Culberson, who hit the last home run of Vince Scully's career. I think that's right. Someone fact check me. You guys will correct me in all of the social media. Got rid of Brandon McCarthy and Scott Kazmir. Went to Atlanta for cash considerations. I got the Dodgers under the $197 million luxury tax threshold. Kemp's money is spread out over 2 years. And Kemp looks healthy, looks a lot better. He looks just in shape. He looks ready to go. I think it's going to be a happy return for Matt Kemp. Things are looking really bright for him and his Dodgers return. Has looked okay. Last night he had the DH assignment, of course, playing at Angel Stadium. But yeah, so back to the lineup. I think Matt Kemp hit 4th. I'm pretty sure. Nope, he might have hit 5th. I think that's correct. Cody Bellinger, I believe, last night, who had an RBI. Cody Bellinger, doing what Cody Bellinger does, gets RBIs. Hit 4th. Matt Kemp, I believe, hit 5th. Then it was Jock Peterson, who's been struggling as of late. Jock Peterson, I believe, hitting around 160 or 130, somewhere in there. Probably the only reason he made the team, or probably will make the team, is because of Justin Turner. But then again, I don't know. I guess the Dodgers management likes his defensive prowess. He's a pretty decent outfielder. We saw what he could do for a few years, in center field. So the shift over to left has been pretty good. And then I think, in 7th, it's going to be either Logan Forsythe. I believe that's who took 7th spot last night. It's always confusing when switching your lineups over from AL to NL. Because things are going to change. Things will be moved around. You have an extra spot, especially when you're used to the NL lineup style. So after Logan Forsythe, it should be Chase Utley or Kike Hernandez, whoever gets the start. at second base because, of course, Logan Forsythe can be moved over from second to third. And then, of course, the pitcher spot. So right now, the way my lineup card is reading, I have Chris Taylor, second center field, Corey Seager as short, Yasiel Puig in right, Matt Kemp probably will play left, look at my notes, switched it around, need to switch it around again. Cody Bellinger first, then possibly Matt Kemp in left field. Probably sit out Jock Peterson, of course. Logan Forsythe will hit seventh. Or, dang, my lineup card is all jacked up. Let's see what happened here. I know I forgot. Yasmani. I forgot about Yasmani Grandal. How could you forget about Yasmani Grandal? Yasmani looked pretty good yesterday. Got on base a few times. Looked good running the bases. Showed some passion. When Trout made a beautiful throw to stop him from advancing. And so Chris Taylor, Corey Seager, Yasiel Puig, Cody Bellinger, Kemp, Grandal, Forsythe, Utley, and a pitcher spot. That is probably what your Los Angeles Dodgers 2018 lineup will look like until Justin Turner comes back. When Justin Turner comes back, I expect Chase Utley or Kike Hernandez to be bumped out of lineup. Logan Forsythe will move back over to second, and JT will probably be inserted back into the third spot. Hopefully he can come back. It is his wrist. That's going to be tough as a batter. I mean, your grip on the bat starts in your hands, goes to your wrist. Didn't play enough baseball to know proper swing mechanics. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting question mark to see if Justin Turner can make a good return from his injury. Okay. In other Dodgers news, Barstool seats will now be sold at Dodger Stadium. You can have a seat at Dodger Stadium just like you're at the bar. No armrests. Have your feet hanging out. I believe they'll be on the field view or the terrace level at the very top row. And you'll just have somewhere to place your arms in front of you, just like a bar. And yeah, good luck, Dodger fans. Good luck with that one. And anyways, this Dodgers lineup, high expectations for this Dodgers lineup. Virtually the same other than the Adrian Gonzalez trade. But in the playoffs, Adrian Gonzalez did not see much action. Obviously having injury, and Cody Bellinger was just having NL Rookie of the Year. Cody Bellinger was having a phenomenal rookie season. So there was no reason to bring it back Adrian Gonzalez to even pinch hit. At least that was the feeling. Hindsight's 2020 when you don't win a World Series. Anyways, so that is your lineup. Other than that, the starting rotation is set to be Kershaw, Wood, Maeda, Hill, and Ryu. Pretty similar to last year. Ryu is making a comeback as well. He's had some injuries the last couple seasons. Maeda will be back in their starting rotation. The only major change is the Dodgers will no longer have Yu Darvish, who, of course, as we know, might have blown that Game 7 in the World Series. Hate to say it, but I think this will be a solid starting rotation. Obviously, pitching is always a concern for me, and no matter what the baseball team is, because you really want 5 quality starters, and it's really hard to get 5 quality starters. Yep, you guessed it. So I think this Dodgers team has high expectations. They won 104 games last season. Sky is the limit for this Dodgers team. Be interesting to see what other teams do against Cody Bellinger this year. They have a lot of tape on him now. But there's a lot of other bats in this lineup that could protect Cody Bellinger, that could protect Corey Seager. Like I said, Kemp's back. Justin Turner will be out for a little while, but I think that'll be okay. So if I had to guess, I would say about 98, 97 wins for this Dodgers team. Someone keep me true to that. 98, 97 wins and a division title for your LA Dodgers. Calling it right now. The absolute hardest competition within the division is going to be, let's start over. The hardest competition for the Dodgers is going to come from within the division. the NL West had 3 teams come out of the regular season and head into the playoffs. The Giants are going to be back. They bounce back every other year. Something about some odd or even year. Who knows with those Giants fans? But that's where Darvish landed after the Dodgers said, thanks, but no thanks. Won't see you again next year. Have a nice day. So Diamondbacks last year had 93 wins. Rockies had 87 wins. Both have talented MVP candidates. Paul Goldschmidt for the Diamondbacks. Charlie Blackmon, just a stud center fielder. And a great beard. Why can't I have a beard like that? Everyone always hates on my beard. But I guess when you make millions of dollars, you can have whatever hairstyle you want. Like, unless, you're like Odell Beckham and you get criticized in the media all the time, or you're, I don't know, someone like that. Anyways, moving on to your Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Always hated that. Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. You gotta pick one. Just pick one. Either you're stealing you're stealing a market share of Los Angeles, or you're staying true to your host city of Anaheim. The Anaheim, the Big A. Pick one. Pick one. Pick one. Anywho, sorry for venting so much, guys. I have a lot. Anaheim gets it rough, at least in my opinion. Angels baseball. Angels traded for Justin Upton last season. They were able to keep him. They signed Zach Cozart, moved him to third base, and this guy, if you don't know Zach Cozart and you're a baseball fan, you will certainly know Zach Cozart this year. Had put up phenomenal numbers last year. He's going to move to third. Andrelton Simmons will stay at short, who last night at that game, defense solid as always for the Dodgers. For the Angels. Mike Scioscia, always old school 80s catcher, always praising good defensive fundamentals around the bases. So the infield looked really good. Even Albert Pujols, who got the start yesterday at first, looked pretty solid, covering first and doing all that. Of course, came from the National League, so had to do a lot of that. Had some Gold Gloves, I believe, under his belt. And the other huge news was the signing of Shohei Ohtani. I know you guys are gonna correct me for pronouncing that incorrectly or not. Go ahead, give me a thumbs up. Why so much negativity in the world? Shohei Ohtani, the dual threat baseball player, old school status. He was being praised as the next coming of Babe Ruth. He can pitch, he can hit, he could run. But the thing on everyone's mind is, should the Angels have sent him down, or will they send him down, or should they send him down to the minors to start the season? And I think after pondering this question for a long time, no, he should not. Ohtani has professional experience, and I think getting him used to the baseball stateside, getting him at least in the dugout, at this moment, he is projected, or he is slated to be in the starting rotation next week for opening day. I think he's going to pitch that third game against Oakland, because of the injury to Dan Heaney. And we will see Shohei Ohtani make his debut next week. That is the plan. Yep, I believe that's the plan with Dan Heaney out with an injury. Shohei Ohtani will make his first major league start next season. Last year, the Angels only won 80 games, 49%. That's an F for the Angels. If you're a teacher or you're a student, that's an F. Just, if you didn't know that. But with this revitalized roster, with Cozart, with Upton, The question mark is going to be all about pitching. Dodgers haven't had a true ace in a while. I don't think they have a true ace this year either. Their hitting is going to be what needs to carry them, especially with Mike Trout. Not rumors. I don't think there's any true rumors out there, but with some speculation about whether Mike Trout will re-sign with the Angels in the next few years. Will he'll extend his contract with the Angels. Will he go to a team like New York, who would love to pay not pay him, who would love to pay him, would love to have him, but would be willing and able to pay him, I'm sure, because some people think playing in Anaheim is never going to lead him to a championship. People think the mark's not big enough. Like I said, you got to pick one, LA or Anaheim. It can't be both. But anyways, I think the Angels can easily get to 90 wins, make the playoffs. Their biggest threat, obviously, in the division is going to be the defending Houston Astros, who, by the way, if you didn't know, led the league in runs, extra base hits, on-base slugging percentage, and had the fewest strikeouts in 2017. And almost all of their top hitters, talking about Altuve, Springer, Correa, Bregman, Gonzalez, are under 29, which is crazy. So the Angels are going to have to go to the Astros if they want to make a run in the playoffs. Even the Dodgers are going to have to worry about the Astros, because I think the only other team in the American League might be the Yankees, the baby Bronx Bombers, who talking about the revitalization of a death row or a murder's row. Got Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, the American League home run leader and the National League home run leader on the same team? Are you kidding me? So the Angels, I think, have a much harder uphill battle than the Dodgers do. I think the Dodgers roster is pretty good. The Cubs in the playoffs they'll be back. They'll be back. I don't think the Nationals do as well as they did last year. So within the division for the Dodgers, it's going to be the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, those pesky Giants have an improved roster, the Cubs, and for the Angels, it's definitely going to be the defending World Series champion, Houston Astros, and the New York Yankees, who they're always in the thick of things, always causing trouble with those New York Yankees. But all right, that's baseball for this week. Moving on to NBA Western Conference standings playoff race. Just like the NHL playoff race, the Western Conference is super cramped. It's going to be a close one till the end. Seeds 3 through 10 are all within 6 games of each other. 4 through 10 are within 3.5 games of each other. 4 games of each other. You might have seen my stream. It provided some play-by-play for you all out there for the Clippers-Timberwolves games. The Clippers fell to the T-Wolves on that one. And that was a really important game for the Clippers, as when that game was called, they were in the 9th seed, but since then have gone on a little bit of a slump, fallen to the 10th seed. The Timberwolves improved to the 7th seed. It's a very topsy-turvy situation in the Western Conference. Seeds, all these guys are super close. No one knows who's going to be playing who in the Western Conference playoffs. But so keep an eye on that. LeBron. Let's talk a little bit about LeBron. Don't like to talk about LeBron too much on this show. Plenty of other stations to talk about LeBron James. But LeBron James had an unbelievable night against Toronto. Showed why he's the king. First ever to have 35 points, 7 assists, no turnovers, 17 assists, 7 rebounds, and 0 turnovers. And LeBron James showed, like I said, why he's the king of the East. Long live the king. I think I might be ready to say Mama, I'm sorry. Sports gods, I'm sorry. I think LeBron might be better than Kobe. Okay, didn't get struck by lightning. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Overreaction? Maybe. Maybe. But I've never seen anyone run a conference single-handedly 5 years in a row. And it's going to be 9 years in a row. Who stops the Cavs this year? Who stops the Cavs this year? Kyrie's hurt. Steph Curry's hurt. Philly's having an okay season, but they have no playoff experience. They don't know how to win games in the playoffs. So, sports fans out there, tell me, who else is going to win the East? Who else? LeBron James, at 33 years old, is playing his best basketball. You could argue that. You could argue that LeBron James is playing the best basketball of his career and that he should be the MVP, which is a whole other conversation. LeBron James has been the best player on the planet for probably almost every other year he was in the league, other than Kobe Bryant, who has 5 rings as opposed to 2. Hey man, Jordan has 6, but Kobe's got 5, and the debate ends right there. But back to LeBron. When a team puts up 79 points on you in the first half as a warm-up to go down for one of the most exciting finishes of the season, and you put up 17 assists, 35 points, and not a single turnover, and you're a forward, you're a big, giant, dribbling machine, playmaking forward, making passes Steph Curry, Kyrie are supposed to make, having handles like only Kyrie and Steph Curry are supposed to make, and you're a behemoth of a man, of a gentleman. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. Kobe, I don't remember Kobe ever having 17 assists, let alone passing the ball out 17 times. So, what a crazy performance that was last week. And go ahead, disagree with me. Disagree with me on Twitter at TD Gauchos. Hit up the show at Medina Mondays on Twitter, Instagram. Like the page on Facebook. Send us your hate mail / fan mail at medinamondays@gmail.com. Give a shout out to your team. If you have a question, go ahead, tag the program, email the program. Mr. Duckins earlier in the program messaged me through SoundCloud. That was a little bit I'm guessing he doesn't have a Twitter account. Probably doesn't have a Facebook page. Probably wasn't born after 1995. Just a guess to be messaging me on SoundCloud. But no worries. Got that question in. Got that question taken care of for you. Moving on to the San Antonio Spurs, who are having locker room problems. Kawhi Leonard is sitting out. A lot of you know has an injury. Said, I'm not ready to come back yet. Team doctors say he's ready to come back. Had to have a team meeting between the San Antonio Spurs and Kawhi to talk to him, to convince him to come back. Allegedly, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, among some of the leaders of that locker room, who trying to persuade Kawhi to come back. And it is seriously, right now, dividing the locker room in one of the organizations that's supposed to be class act, supposed to be what they call the Patriots of the NBA. So another story to keep an eye on. Not much else to be said there. Pretty interesting, juicy, gossipy stuff. Not really my cup of tea. Not really my favorite thing to talk about. I like to stick to the game. But it's really interesting to see if this is how the San Antonio Spurs dynasty kind of, withers away. Tony Parker, Ginobili, they're getting up there. That's why you sign or draft a Kawhi. That's why you sign a Lillard. Try and keep the the carrying of the torch, the next generation of San Antonio Spurs going. Shout out to San Antonio, home place of my Nana Josie. We're hearing a lot about Nana Josie on this program, so y'all better be getting used to it. All right, anyways, back to the program. San Antonio locker room is being divided. Manu Ginobili said he doesn't think Kawhi is going to come back this season. That's according to ESPN.com. On March 14th, Greg Popovich said he's got to be cleared by his medical staff that he's seeing. And until he gets cleared, we can't make a decision on when he's coming back. So once he gets cleared, then he and I can sit down and talk and see what we think about an appropriate time to come back. But that clearance has yet to be obtained first. That was my Popovich impersonation. Hope you guys liked it. I don't know if you guys ever seen Game of Zones. Great little mini-series by, I always forget, SB Nation or Bleacher Report. No, it's Bleacher Report. Game of Zones, parody of Game of Thrones. And the parody, the Spurs are the White Walkers. I don't watch none of that Game of Thrones stuff. But anyways, so the Spurs are the White Walkers. And there's an episode of Game of Zones where Kevin Durant is, he's circling or shopping himself around the different castles or the different kingdoms, I guess. And one of the kingdoms is the White Walkers kingdom, which is represented by or parodied by the San Antonio Spurs, or a parody version of the San Antonio Spurs. And the San Antonio Spurs being the White Walkers, these zombie ice monsters, these Draugr looking thing. If you know what a Draugr is, some type of Norse mythology, kind of like a Nordic zombie. And Kevin Durant asks, so what do you guys have to offer? Or he asks about a certain box on the zombified Greg Popovich's desk. And Greg Popovich, in a very deep zombie-like tone, says to Kevin Durant about what kind of box it is. He goes, soul box. And he's like, what's in the soul box? And I think it's either Tony Parker, who's also zombified. He sold his soul to the Bill Belichick of the NBA, Greg Popovich. And he says, the soul goes in the box. Or something to that effect. Obviously, Kevin Durant cringes. Gets signed with Golden State. But that just kind of shows you the type of locker room, the lack of personality San Antonio holds. But yeah, it's a really funny series. Highly recommend. Check it out. But yeah, they're everything goes through Pop. Everything goes through Pop. And if I had to guess, this meeting that was taking, this players only meeting, that didn't come from the players. That came straight from Greg Popovich. It came from him. Just like most things come straight from Bill Belichick. Like Malcolm Butler's benching. That's a Bill Belichick move. It's not a Mike Patricia move. That's a Bill Belichick move. So we'll keep you updated with the Kawhi Leonard situation. And it's the segment many of you might have been waiting for. It's the March Madness segment. And this March Madness segment is brought to you by the Rhodium Open Air Market. It's March Mania at the Rhodium, where you can find all the best deals and save on apparel, electronics, furniture, and much more. This month only, you can enter to win $500 free by just sending in a picture of you and your hashtag MarchMania deal to info@rhodium.com. Again, that's hashtag MarchMania deal to info@rhodium.com. It's that easy. Located off of Redondo Beach Boulevard in Torrance, California, the Rhodium Open Air Market has been LA's open air market destination for over 65 years, and it's always open. I'm talking 365 days a year, rain or shine. Check it out. I buy my Nana Josie flowers every Sunday from the Rhodium. And like I said earlier, it was my mom's birthday just yesterday, right before Medina Mondays. So I bought 2 flower bouquets for each of them, and they both just love them. So if you either want to save and buy yourself something nice or make someone in your life really happy, head on over to the Rhodium Open Air Market, LA's open air destination for over 65 years. Woo-wee! It's the Final Four, everybody. let's talk about how our Final Four, Kansas, Villanova, Sister Jean of Loyola Chicago, and Michigan all got here since last Monday. So last weekend, we had Sweet 16 and Elite 8 matchups. These 4 teams, Loyola Chicago, faced off against another Cinderella, Nevada. It was well coached versus high-scoring twins Caleb and Cody Martin, as Loyola Chicago edged out the Nevada Wolfpack 69-68. Cody Martin was playing hurt in that game. It was good offense to start by Nevada. Loyola tightened that one up, pushed in the final minutes, the first half, and never really looked back. It was close at the end. Caleb Martin hit a big 3 with 1:30 to bring it within 1. His brother Cody, his twin brother, like I said, had a big save to his twin brother, kept keeping it in bounds. Marquise Towns hit the dagger with 7 seconds left. Loyola Chicago would go on to beat Nevada. Loyola went on to the next round to upset another Cinderella, Kansas State, 78-62. Sister Jean is going to the Final Four. All you punks on Twitter want to say stuff about Sister Jean, you better respect Sister Jean out there. She's coming for you. Texas A&M and Michigan. Michigan will be facing Loyola Chicago in that matchup. Michigan shot lights out. It was a big blowout. Moritz Wagner, German fellow, I believe, took care of Todd Davis, scored 21 points. He's a big that can stretch the floor. He can really provide problems for Loyola Chicago and even the big dance team, whoever that is, Villanova or Kansas. After that, Michigan beat Florida State in a 58-54 close one. Moving on to Kansas, who beat Clemson in the Sweet 16, 80-76. Duke would be the next victim to Kansas, who 85-81. Saw Grayson Allen miss a few buzzer beaters at the end of regulation and a few close shots at the end of overtime. And that is how Kansas ended up in the Final Four. And I don't even have to say much about Villanova. They were one of the favorites. They were my favorites to win the tournament. I think they still are. I think they'll handle business versus Kansas. And I think they'll be seeing Michigan in the finals. Sorry to Sister Jean and Loyola Chicago. Cinderella team at number 11 has never won a Final Four game. It's been 54 years since their last Final Four appearance. That's Loyola Chicago, exactly. And Michigan was in the Final Four in 2013. Let's be real. Michigan is riding a hot streak. They're really hot right now, shooting the 3-ball well, playing really good defense. Like I said, Moritz Wagner shoots and rebounds, defends the rim well. Yes, I said Moritz Wagner. That's how you'd say it if you were German, right? And I think Villanova is the other pick. Like I said, they beat Kansas in the Elite 8 just 2 years ago. Villanova is on pace to be a really historic program. They've now surpassed Duke with the most wins in 4 seasons. That's 134 wins in the past 4 seasons, a D1 record. I think Brunson is a really good playmaker. Scores, can pass, and he's just making it look easy. They're just crushing teams. Didn't even talk about their games versus West Virginia and the Wildcats. Not the Wildcats. The Texas Tech Raiders. Villanova is just a class above Texas Tech and West Virginia. It wasn't even close. 90-78 was the final score against West Virginia, and 71-59 was your final in the Elite 8 against Texas Tech. I don't see anybody stopping Villanova other than maybe Michigan. Michigan, like I said, is flying high. They're playing really exciting basketball. Villanova is just cruising. And until Michigan can prove that buzzsaw of an offense and defense can stop a team like Villanova, I believe, will be your 2018 March Madness NCAA men's basketball champions. And that is just about going to do it for today's show. Just want to tell you all again, thank you for listening. I plan on providing live play-by-play coverage of the Giants opening day versus the Giants on Facebook. You can follow me on Henry J on Twitter and also on Instagram with the handle at TD Gauchos for updates on that. Give you a final update on that. Make sure to follow the podcast on SoundCloud and subscribe on YouTube. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram for more content. The handle for both of those is at Medina Mondays. Like our Facebook page as well. Thank you for listening, and you'll be hearing from me in just 1 week as always. Happy Easter if you're into that. Peace. I'm out.